my fellow readers. I am back. It has been a minute. Welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain. I am so glad to be back. The month of June was absolutely crazy and it flew by. I don't know if it did for you guys. It absolutely did for me. And I just had to chalk it up as kind of a month where I had to focus on things external of the computer and external of kind of the internet in order to care for myself and my mental health. But as we roll into July, I made a plan, and I am so happy to be able to say that I plan to bring at least an episode every other day for most of the month of July. That is the goal. That is the hope. I have actually planned out my books, which is surprising because many of these I have either read or been reading, have almost finished, or are very high on my TBRs to the point that I have already purchased them and they're waiting in the wings for me to get to. So, without further ado, I will not dive too much into my personal life. I will just dive straight into books because I think that's probably why a lot of you all are here, is books. We sit here, we talk about books, book reviews, things we like, and all that sort of fun stuff. I do apologize for my absence, as I said before, but that is something that happens when we have lives that tend to need a little bit of prioritizing. So I hope you guys are prioritizing your life in whatever way feels right for you. I know I feel pretty good about where I've been placing my personal energies, and even though I still feel like I can do better in some respects, I know I'm doing pretty well. But the first book that I kind of want to bring to you all is actually a book that I just finished up last night. It's called The Fox and the Flame by Kassandra Flamouri. And I do hope that I am pronouncing her last name correctly. It is Flamouri. That is her last name. And this is a book that I ran across in my NetGalley. Gorgeous, gorgeous cover where is this girl, and I'm like, I'll put it here because as I do, I want you guys to see the books. So if you run across it in your day-to-day life, whether on the internet or in a public space, you may pick it up, turn it over, and give it a consideration as something maybe you will want to pick up as well. This is a book that I definitely give 5 stars. I was so incredibly surprised, but I will say this cover art sold me before I even knew anything about this book. Just to give you a little bit of background, a little bit of summary. In King's Garden, magic and prosperity go hand in hand, and the future is limitless if you're a man. Unladylike, bookish, and wholly uninterested in being a princess, Arismendi has one dream: to open King's Garden's first school for girls. But such a dream is expensive, too expensive for a young woman with no legal right to money of her own. Ari's only hope is the insufferable but fabulously wealthy lord who promises to fund her school in exchange for her hand in marriage. And I will say, the wealthy lord, she's marrying the son, and so she would pretty much be kind of the son's, I hate to say property, but in this realm, that is kind of what would happen. So he would have a lot of say into how she dresses, how she presents herself in society. So even before this marriage contract gets signed, he's already being able to make, like, I guess, quote unquote, requests on how she starts to present herself into public. And personally, that is not my cup of tea. I would just prefer to leave that be. Nobody's going to tell me how I'm going to dress. But I'm a highly independent female. This is probably why I'm single, and I don't even care, because if I would have to deal with that, I'll stay single. Anyway, back to the summary. Seeing no other choice, Ari accepts the bargain, giving up on hope of love until a beautiful girl kisses her on the very eve of her betrothal. With a secret Oh, with the help of her secret love and a hard-won mountain of gold, Ari sets out to open her school, but she soon discovers that her biggest obstacle was never money, it was fear. And there's nothing more frightening to men in power, it seems, than a girl with a book. So I'll kind of stop there because this book really came out of nowhere for me. It was a book that I did not hear talked about much. And from what I can read just a little bit, I do believe it was probably probably an independent publication. I hope this book gets some more traction, as I'm really interested in learning more about this author, more about what she may continue to write. I thought the writing was beautifully done, and the story was really well done as well. You do get the she's you don't realize it starting off the bat, but the main protagonist, Ari, she is really passionate about her maid, who is about to be sent to temple to pretty much just be kind of a run-of-the-mill servant. And she wants more for her than that. But there's not a lot of options for lower class individuals within their society to be able to do much more. And Ari, she is pretty much, from what it seems, the only daughter in her family. Her father has passed, her brother is on the throne. However, the only real benefit that she has is she's going to make a good match, hopefully, for the kingdom and for her own future, in order to kind of, I guess, really continue the throne. Like, you know, if her brother doesn't create heirs, then this kind of falls to her, but also by making good matches to make good alliances to continue kind of like holding up that support for the throne. It was so really well done. Like I said, the cover was beautiful, and I don't think I'm the only one that's kind of fallen for like beautiful cover art on this one. I just kind of was looking through after I finished it to see what other people were thinking, if I could find any questions that people were asking about this book, because I love to be able to bring questions and then my thoughts on what those questions, like how I would answer those questions. But it seems as though other people who have read this book were also incredibly drawn to the cover art, with the girl who seems to be on fire with the fox. Her brother does kind of refer to as Fox or Foxling. Kind of, I think it does refer to the fact that her hair has some ruddy tones to it. So there's kind of this like little bit of like, she's a, I don't want to say a wild child, but she does have an independence to her, so I think there is a nod to that as well with some of her appearance, and she doesn't fit into the norm of what a princess is in a lot of respects. So, continuing through our review, I will say it started off just a little slow. I think it was trying to establish a bit of background for us, which is fine. When we are introduced into any sort of world that we've not been in before, such as King's Garden, it is important to establish some sort of kind of foundation of what's happening in the world, what does it seem to look like, so we can feel as the reader that we are in the place with these characters, instead of kind of floating overhead in a very cloud-like manner where everybody's picturing something different. That is just like what happens in what I would say a first book. Now, I don't think there's going to be, from what I can tell, I don't think there is a second book on the horizon, as it does just present itself as a single book. I loved it. Again, I don't think I can say enough about it, because one, I love kind of the fairy tale-ish, fantasy-ish sort of vibe that it gives. I will say the individual that she is, she's like, you know what, I will go ahead and marry this individual because it will benefit me, and it will allow me to do the things that I want to do in my life. So she is the one who makes the decision to marry this individual. It is her choice because her brother, who is the king, was not going to force her to marry him. He was going to leave that up to her. It was a promise that he had kind of made that whenever she was ready, she could make that decision. So when she comes to him and says that this is what she wants to do, he's kind of like, are you sure? And so she's like, yeah, I've really thought about it. This is what I'm hoping to get out of it. These are my expectations. He goes along with it because she seems to have thought about it pretty significantly. But I don't think she anticipated falling in love. And that was something that she had kind of swept under the table. She had decided that that was just something that she just didn't see in her own cards for herself. And I think that was something that, it was a little tropish, but not terribly tropish. I like that she kind of fell for a courtesan. I think in my brain I kind of had this little Moulin Rouge sort of vibe going on, even though it's not really that sort of situation. The courtesan is very, very sweet, and absolutely they work so incredibly well together in the scenes that we have them together. It does start to pick up about, I would say, halfway through the book. So the first half is a little slow as we're getting the world building, establishing all of those relationships, building that foundation. The last half of the book, I feel like it speeds up, so we kind of really get like that steam rolling, and it really gets into the action and meat of everything that's going on. It can be a fast read. I had it as an ebook. I don't believe it was more than, like I said, in my ebook, about 300 pages. But I would say don't quote me on that because it's hard to really establish how many pages. I want to say I read it in about 3 to 4 sittings. Because it just, like I said, the first half went a little slow, but the second half really flew by to the point that I had a hard time putting it down. Her relationship with her brothers is great. They're supportive, they're loving, they are a very fantastic family dynamic. I know that they would all bend over backwards for each other, so I loved seeing that. I loved seeing that her brothers were not like sniping at at her or trying to just marry her off or things like that you may see in some other books just to cause drama. That was something that I was really glad I didn't see, because we got to focus on Ari's internal struggle with learning who she was without the external kind of pressures of other people's I guess thoughts trying to impose themselves upon her. I will say the only thing that was confusing for me was the magic system. There are these individuals, or like thralls, but they're created by light. I think I needed a little bit more information. I think I needed to dive a little bit more into the magic system to better understand it. That's probably the one thing that I would like to focus on a little bit more, because I just don't think I fully understand it. And so I guess if I were to give it a full a star rating, I'd give it 4.5, because I think that's probably where I just don't I don't fully get it, and I would love if I could see that fleshed out a little bit better. But I don't like to round down. I had a great time reading this story. I had a great time with it. You do get the the patriarchy is definitely superior in this book. It is superseding the feminine, the powerful feminine that she is trying to be. And I think that it starts a good conversation in this book especially, of women who are working to be independent, to learn what they need to learn, to be able to not have to rely on men. And in this book, that is so very threatening to the men of this book, because if the women don't need them, then where is their power? Because they really do like need that power in this book. That's what women are for, is to show them how powerful they are. But all of that to be said, really love this book. I certainly hope you will give it a chance. There is that theme of kind of that sexism that you kind of would, I don't want to say expect, but when you have that dynamic of women trying to be independent in a world of kind of kings and queens and lords, you're going to see a dynamic of men pushing back because they don't want to lose the control they have over what they view as their property. And again, it's a good conversation. I hope you will connect with me down below. Let me know what you think, and I will see you guys on the next page. I hope that you will subscribe. I know, like I said, I have been gone for just a little minute, but I am so glad to be back. And I hope that you will continue to join me on this journey through the world of books. And I will see you on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.